Let me just say, if you are new here, hi, welcome. I am excited that you're here. If you're watching the recording, I'm also excited that you're here. It is. We are in November. The world is looking a little crazy at the moment, so I think it's beautiful and more important than ever that we are doing what we're doing. So getting in touch with our bodies and with ourselves, because I feel like that's yeah, it's definitely an important thing to bring into our world. All right, so with that, the first invitation is to get on your mat, or maybe you want to do your practice on your bed, on a chair. There's really no right or wrong way. I'm going to be doing my practice on the mat, but you are welcome to tailor fit this for your body, right? So you're welcome to do what works for you. That is like the most important thing in mindful flow yoga, that that everything I say or do is just a suggestion, and you are your best teacher, your body. And I'm actually going to start lying down. And again, you're welcome to sit, to stand. It doesn't really matter. And perhaps taking the first couple of moments just to kind of land. So landing in the present moment, landing in the space that you're in. You might even take a moment to like look around, like letting your eyes kind of orient to the space around you. And maybe just taking a moment to like land in your body, right? So you might start to notice the parts of your body connecting to the surface below you. You could close your eyes or keep them open. And perhaps see if you could sense, feel, or imagine the surface, like if you could feel the support from that surface as it holds your body up. So the support of the ground, of the earth, of gravity. Yeah, and as you do that, an invitation to maybe start to notice your breath. And you don't have to change how you're breathing. Maybe just notice that you're breathing. Maybe noticing as you inhale, as you exhale. If it's helpful, you could place your hands somewhere on your body, maybe like on your belly or on your heart. And I'm going to give some choices here. So the first option is to just stay right where you are, maybe just noticing your natural breath flowing in and out. If concentrating on your breath doesn't work for you, maybe concentrating on something else, like how your clothing touches your skin. And another layer to add here could be to maybe explore playing around with your breath. So you might start to take a long breath in and maybe a longer breath out. And as you exhale, the invitation is to add a little constriction in your throat. We sometimes call this ocean breath. So it could sound like like a ha sound. Another way to do it could be like a shh, or like a snake. So whichever option you're choosing, maybe just taking a couple of breaths here. And usually what this does is it stimulates the vagus nerve, and it engages, or it invites the nervous system into like a relaxing state. But that may not be true for you. So, right, so everything I'm saying is just a suggestion. If you try it and you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it. And wherever you are, maybe like another moment or two here. And when you feel like this is complete for you, maybe just taking a moment to check in and see, how are you feeling? No right or wrong answer, by the way. Maybe just inviting some curiosity. And when you're ready to start moving your body, or like the physical practice of yoga. If your eyes were closed, you might start to open them. And the invitation is to, I don't know if you've ever seen like a dog or a cat wake up from a nap. So maybe just finding like some kind of like weird looking stretch, right? It's not about how it looks, it's about how it feels. So maybe finding like some kind of stretch, maybe following like what your body wants to do in this moment. Oh, my body wants to yawn. Yeah, so maybe just taking the opportunity to do that. And whenever you're ready, maybe coming back to your center. And the invitation is to start to lift your right leg up and starting to do some rotations, some joint rotations. So starting with your ankle, your right ankle. And you could play around with that, right? So maybe making some circles in one direction and the other, and just kind of feeling into it if you'd like. And you're welcome to stay with that. Or another choice here could be to add your hip joint. So maybe starting to make like some bigger circles, or maybe you want to make some smaller circles, right? So it's up to you. The size of the movement, the tempo. And whenever you're ready, the invitation is to come back to center with your leg and to start to move your knee joint. So maybe opening and closing your knee. And as you do that, maybe starting to notice the sensation in your leg. So you could be feeling something, maybe in the back of your leg. So perhaps attuning to like what's happening on the inside of your body, like the muscles as they lengthen and shorten. Yeah. And then as you're ready, you're welcome to stay with this, or maybe adding another layer to wake up the core, right? So it's up to you. And you're always welcome to be doing something different than me, right? So choosing what works for you. If you want to explore some core work, the invitation is to bring your hands behind your head and maybe letting the whole weight of your head kind of sink into your hands and lifting through your heart. And as you do that, you might notice some sensation happening, maybe some heat. Maybe there's like a little bit of trembling, some shaking around your core or your belly muscles. And the last layer that I'm going to offer here, if you want to play with it, could be to lift your other leg, right? Maybe your knee is bent, maybe it's straight, and just kind of seeing if that feels different. It definitely feels different for me. And knowing that you're welcome to pause or to do something different at any time. And then maybe letting that go, bringing your knees towards your chest. You might give yourself a big hug. And if you'd like, the invitation is to repeat this on the other side. So resting your right leg and perhaps moving into those joint rotations on the left side. Maybe making some circles with your left ankle. And as you're concentrating on this left leg, maybe noticing if there's a difference, right? Does your left leg have a different story to tell? Does it need something different than your right leg? Usually we're not that even as humans, and that's perfectly okay, right? And you could stay with those ankle rotations or maybe adding your hip. And again, choosing your range of motion, maybe choosing the direction, the tempo, finding your own way of moving and maybe moving in a direction of it feeling good, all right? So that is the invitation for this practice, is to have that as a northern star of moving towards it feeling good or neutral. Like so often we kind of focus on what is wrong, what feels bad, what we should be doing to make it better. But what would it be like to focus on what is right and what feels good? Yeah, and then maybe coming back to center and moving into the knee joint. So kind of opening and closing. You could maybe explore pointing and flexing your foot here, seeing how that feels different. All right, so maybe tuning into what your left leg is saying, what it needs in this moment. And you're welcome to stay here, or perhaps adding that layer of the core. So maybe bringing your hands behind your head, making your head heavy as you lift through your heart. Whew. Yeah. Maybe saying, hello, core. Yeah. And you're welcome to stay here, or perhaps adding that last layer of lifting your right leg off the ground. Whew. Maybe staying for another couple of moments, couple of breaths. And then as you're ready, coming back in for that hug. Maybe finding a little bit of rocking from side to side. And the next invitation is to invite your knees to fall over towards the right side of the mat. And to bring your left hand with you, right? So kind of rolling all the way towards the right side. And then inviting some movement with the left arm. So rotating all the way towards the left side of your mat. And then coming back. And you could do this, right? Like with your natural breath. Or perhaps a long breath in. Maybe a longer breath out. Maybe there's some sound that wants to come out as you breathe. Yeah, perhaps allowing it to feel good. Maybe another moment or two. And then when you feel like this is complete for you, the invitation is come back to center. I don't have room. And then perhaps moving towards the other side. So bringing your knees towards the left side of the mat. Bringing your right arm with you, right? So rolling over and then inviting that movement with your right arm up and over towards the right side of the mat. Maybe inhaling. Maybe an audible sound as you exhale. But knowing that it's an invitation, it's a suggestion, and this is your yoga practice. This is time for you, right? So you're welcome to make choices that work for you in this moment. And when you feel like this is kind of done, complete, coming back to center, and one last time bringing your legs or your knees towards you. And from here, finding that rocking again, only this time kind of rocking up and back and forward, up and down. I don't know how to call this direction, but yeah, not side to side. And again, you might make this playful, right? So you're welcome to kind of explore how much you want to roll up, how much you want to roll back, and knowing that there's nothing to achieve here, right? There's no like goal to achieve. It doesn't have to look perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe finding a little play with it, right? And maybe letting it feel good in the in the process. Yeah, and then the next time you roll up, maybe coming all the way up. And the invitation is to make your way into child's pose. So bringing your knees maybe together, maybe further apart. Inviting your heart and your forehead down towards the mat. And perhaps just pausing here in stillness, just to kind of integrate all that stuff that just happened, all right? All the things that our bodies have experienced, maybe allowing it to kind of absorb, to soak in, to integrate, allowing the nervous system to integrate, the mind and body to kind of catch up. And maybe just checking in with yourself, right? How are you doing? Is anything different? Yeah, and you're welcome to kind of chill here for as long as you'd like. And when you're ready to start to move your body again, the invitation is to start to roll your spine up, kind of like a cat, and then arching your back, back, towards your heels, kind of like a cat and cow, but wave. And if you want, maybe repeating this a couple of times. You could be mirroring me, right? So maybe moving at the same time as me, or perhaps finding your own rhythm. Maybe inhaling forward, maybe exhaling back. And there's another offering here, right? So you could stay with this if it works for you. Or another option could be to perhaps find some mindful flow or some free movement, right? So it's like a movement that's not planned. So maybe like inviting your brain to drop into your body and to see how it wants to move, right? Following what wants to happen next. You might notice if there's any like pockets of tension, any pressure somewhere in your body, maybe bringing your awareness there. You might send your breath to these places. You might even like say like, hello, I see you. I feel you. I've got you. And when you feel like this is complete for you, wherever you are, the invitation is to come back to center and to tabletop. And I will offer some guided movement and some different choices. And you're welcome to pick the choices that work for you. And so choosing your own adventure. So the first choice is to tuck your toes and start to lift your heels, not your heels, your knees, right? And you may feel something happening here, right? Maybe in the tops of your thighs and your belly. And you're welcome to stay with that. Or another choice could be to start to walk one leg and then the other into plank and then back, right? So maybe chilling here in stillness, or perhaps adding some movement by stepping your legs back and forward. And wherever you are, the invitation is to notice your connection to the ground. To notice which muscles are working right now to support you in this balance, in this movement, in this stillness. Maybe noticing your breath. Pausing at any time. And then as you're ready, the invitation is to bring or to press back into downward facing dog, right? So you're welcome to keep your knees bent here. Or maybe you want to straighten them out. Or another option could be to kind of walk your dog, right? So kind of bending and straightening. There's no right or wrong way, no better or worse. Only like what works for you in this moment. So like maybe exploring to find that. And maybe moving towards it feeling good, right? So that Goldilocks zone where it's not too much, it's not too little, but it's just right. Yeah, and then from here, the invitation is to roll your spine forward into plank, releasing your knees, chest and chin down, scooting your feet back, and then a couple of rolling cobras, so rounding your spine up, and then coming down. And if you want, repeating this a couple of times. And again, you have choice, right? You have choice how much you lift your body, the tempo. And you're welcome to stay with this, perhaps, if you like it. Or another choice could be to start to move into Sphinx. So bringing your forearms onto the ground. You might invite your shoulders to roll back, your shoulder blades to meet each other. And choice, right? There's always choice. So you could stay here in stillness, or another choice, option, if you want to explore it, could be to add movement by bringing your chin towards your chest as you round your spine. Maybe noticing what's happening in your belly and your core. And then you might notice, what is it like as you come back? Right? So your belly, maybe it's like starting to soften, maybe noticing. So maybe paying attention to that transition, right? If you're moving. Like, what is it like when you round in, when you curl in? And what is it like when you come back? Maybe another moment or two here, wherever you are. And then in your own time, let's meet back in downward facing dog. Reminder to drink whenever you want to drink. I used to go to this yoga studio where like we weren't allowed to drink. Like that's crazy. But yeah, so drinking or going to the bathroom if you need to. Honoring your needs, your body, right? Maybe another moment or two in this dog, in your dog. And from here, the invitation is to start to walk your hands back towards your feet and choice, right? Options. Maybe you want to stay here in this kind of a bent-legged forward fold. Or another option, if it's accessible to you, might be to come down lower into a squat. It doesn't really matter. All right, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters what it feels like, right? So maybe finding the variation that works for your body. And as you do that, maybe starting to find a little bit of free movement, right? Some mindful flow. So maybe that's like lifting one heel and then the other. Maybe it's like lifting your hips up and down. Maybe you want to explore like lifting your head and then letting it hang heavy. And as you allow your body to move how it wants to move, you might notice, how does that feel? What is it like to allow yourself to move in a way that feels good? Or okay, or neutral, right? And then whenever you're ready, maybe starting to walk back to downward facing dog. Feeling your inhale. Finishing your exhale. And then on your next breath in and out, looking in between your hands, you might walk, you might step, you might hop to the front of the mat. And then starting to roll all the way up to standing. Whew. Maybe taking a couple of moments here. I don't know, is my head cut off? Oh, I hope you could see me. Maybe taking a couple of moments just to kind of reorient to what it's like to stand, because we were like on the mat for a while. Perhaps noticing your feet as they ground or like connect to the ground, to gravity. You might even notice the texture of your mat, right? Maybe feeling into the muscles that are holding your body up in your legs, because I'm going to offer some balancing. So maybe first connecting to the lower part of our body. Yeah. And then from here, some choice. So the first invitation is to reach your arms up towards the ceiling, and then choosing a side. I'm going to go towards the left, coming into a side bend, right? And you might notice that the weight of your body shifts onto one of your legs, right? Onto the leg in which your arms are moving. And you're welcome to stay like this, kind of like a tree that's about to fall over. Or maybe taking the foot that feels like there's less weight on it and crossing it in front of the other leg. That's the first option. So maybe your foot is touching the ground, or maybe you want to play around with some balance. So maybe lifting your leg off the ground. You're welcome to hold on to something, yeah. So it doesn't have to be perfect. There's nothing to achieve here. Maybe just noticing what it feels like and how you relate to whatever's happening, right? So maybe noticing any thoughts coming and going. Are they kind or unkind? Whatever you find, knowing that it's all welcome here. It's all got wisdom. Whew. Yeah, and then maybe coming back to center. You might notice how both your legs feel, if they feel different, if they feel the same. Maybe shaking or wiggling it out. And then if you're up for it, right, you're always welcome to choose not to do something, right? Choosing is better than doing. And not doing something is just as important than doing something, like, or forcing ourselves to do it, right? So if you want, reaching your arms up towards the ceiling and then maybe going over, bending towards the other side. And again, choosing the variation that works for you. So maybe crossing your leg over, or perhaps playing some balance play, right? Maybe lifting that opposite leg. And as you're here, maybe noticing how is your breath. You might notice the muscles around your jaw, saying hello, hello jaw. The muscles in your forehead, the muscles around your eyes. What's happening there? And noticing that standing leg, right? The one that your weight is on. Can you feel your foot connected to the ground? And then whenever you're ready, coming back to center. You might place a hand or two on your heart. And notice, sense, or imagine if you could feel your heart beating. Feeling that aliveness, right? That energy. Whew. Yeah. I'm going to offer one more balancing thing. And again, you could hold on to something if you want. That's the beauty of yoga, right? That, like, we don't have to force our body to fit into something. We can make it accessible for us. Yeah. So choosing a leg, I'm going to start with my left. So bringing the weight of your body onto one of your legs, and then taking and then stepping the other leg a little bit back behind you. And you could stay here, or perhaps lifting your leg, right? So bringing the weight of your body onto one leg. And some options. First option is to take the same arm as your lifted leg or your step back leg and have the intention of grabbing your foot, right? Maybe you reach your foot, maybe you don't. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that intention. So there's the energy of my arm moving towards my foot. And you're welcome to stay here, right? That's option number 2. Or the third variation could be to maybe come into a dancer variation. So whether you're holding onto your leg or not, starting to arch your back and lean your upper body forward, and then coming back. So you could stay in stillness or maybe adding some movement. And it's up to you, right? How big or slow you make the movement, the tempo, right? Maybe you're holding onto your foot, maybe you're not. Woo. And then letting that go. Maybe taking a couple of intentional breaths. Yeah. And if you want to, explore this on the other side. Shifting the weight of your body onto your leg. And again, choosing the option that works for you. And having that intention of your arm or your hand reaching towards your foot. Maybe you reach it, maybe you don't. It doesn't matter. It's just yoga, right? And you're welcome to stay in stillness, or maybe adding that layer of kind of leaning forward as you arch your back. Ooh, and coming back. Yeah, and you may notice that it feels different on this side. It definitely does for me, right? My right leg feels more shaky, a little less stable. So just knowing that, noticing that, right? Mindful yoga isn't about achieving anything, but it's about attuning to our body, to what we feel, and then making decisions based on that, right? And if you lose balance, knowing that it's okay, doesn't have to be perfect. And coming back to center. And if it feels authentic to you, the invitation is to maybe find a word or two of kindness towards yourself for whatever just happened. Yeah. And then as you're ready, I'm going to offer some guided movement. And again, you're welcome to modify this as to fit you, to fit your needs. And maybe you're starting to reach your arms as you inhale, exhaling, folding forward. As you inhale, rolling your spine up, reaching your arms up, and then exhaling, folding again. So kind of like we did cat and cow, that wave, only this time standing up. So maybe inhaling, reaching, exhaling, folding. And you're welcome to, right, maybe stop halfway or come down all the way. So choosing your range of motion. You could be mirroring me, right? So moving at the same time as me, or finding your own mindful flow. Perhaps staying with your natural rhythm of breathing, or maybe a long breath in, a longer breath out. Maybe releasing something, some sound. Perhaps another moment or two here. And the next time you fold forward, the invitation is to stay there, right? And to step back into downward facing dog. And choosing your dog, right? Choosing the version of down dog that works for you. And on your next breath in and out, the invitation is to roll your spine forward into high plank. And choices, staying here, choice number 1. Releasing your knees, choice number 2. Choice number 3 is from plank, coming into the outer right edges of your feet, and maybe lifting your left arm into side plank for a couple of moments, right? So choosing maybe side plank, maybe you're in plank, perhaps your knees are on the ground. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. It matters what it feels like in your body. And then whenever you're ready, coming back to plank, and then releasing knees, chest, and heart. Inhaling up for cobra, and then let's meet back in downward facing dog. And from here, on your next breath in and out, you might start to lift your right leg up and stepping it in between your hands. I forgot to say, like if you have any props that you like to use, you're welcome to use them. I love props. If you don't have like official yoga blocks, you could use anything around the house, right? Like books. Books usually work. Yeah, so coming into low lunge. And the invitation here is going to be to find some free movement. So some mindful flow from this home base of low lunge, right? So one layer could be moving your hips back and forward. And perhaps letting what you feel in your body help you choose how low you bring your hips, how much you straighten your front knee, right? So maybe moving forward and back. Another thing you could add here, another layer, could be like when you bring your hips forward, you might reach your right arm back behind you. You might reach for your foot, right? Maybe there's like an intention to grab your foot, coming back. Or perhaps there's something else you like to do here, right? So this is like your practice. And feeling into your right leg, right? Maybe finding that Goldilocks zone of where it feels just right. Like, what is your right leg saying to you? Yeah, and when you feel like this is complete for you, the invitation is to lift your back knee up, and then maybe finding a couple of rocks here. So kind of rocking your hips forward and back in the range of motion that feels okay, right? And then from here, anchoring your back heel. So coming into like warrior two legs. So the left foot, the left heel is down on the mat, the right knee is bent. And let me move these blocks. And from here, the invitation is to go into ostrich. Actually, let me turn this way so you could see me. So maybe walking both your hands towards the left edge of the mat. Perhaps you're using blocks. Maybe your hands are on the floor. And into this ostrich, you might release your head down. Maybe staying for a couple of breaths, if that's accessible to you, in this ostrich. And then whenever you're ready, the invitation is to come up to warrior two, right? So you might use some blocks to support you, or not. Either way, reaching your arms out wide towards the front and the back of your mat, coming into this warrior two shape. Noticing what is it like to take up space with your whole body in this way. And from here, you have options, as always in mindful yoga, right? You could stay in stillness in this traditional warrior shape, or maybe adding movement. So you might begin to move your upper body, maybe reaching back, reversing your warrior, and then coming up and over to side angle, and choosing your version of side angle, right? So maybe your arms on your leg, perhaps using a block. Maybe your hand goes on the ground. It doesn't really matter. And as you explore, perhaps taking the opportunity to pause somewhere, right? So maybe you notice some tension or some pressure in your body that wants your attention. Maybe giving it that attention. You might send your breath there. And if you want to add another layer to play with here, you could straighten your front leg and then moving through these triangle shapes, right? So again, maybe pausing somewhere in stillness in your triangle, or maybe moving between reverse triangle and regular triangle. And when you feel like this is complete for you, the invitation is to turn your right foot in, reaching your arms out wide. Let me turn this way so you see me. Coming into star. And as you're ready, bending knees and elbows, coming into horse or goddess. And maybe pausing for a couple of moments. You could maybe rock from side to side if that's calling to you. And then whenever you're ready, coming back up to 5-pointed star, and let's meet at the front of the mat for Samasthiti or mountain pose. You might take a couple of intentional breaths. Maybe checking in to see, how are you feeling now? How is your right leg doing, right? How is your breath? How are those energy levels in your body? Maybe there's some thought patterns happening. So just kind of getting curious, maybe, like with whatever's true for you, knowing that there's no need to judge it in any way. It's all welcome here. All of you is welcome here. And if you're interested in doing what we just did on the other side of your body, the invitation is to reach your arms up as you inhale and exhaling, folding forward. You might inhale halfway up and then step back to downward facing dog. Feeling your inhale, finishing your exhale. And from here, on your next breath in and out, rolling your spine up to plank. And again, the same options we had before. You're welcome to stay in plank. You could release your knees down, or maybe exploring side plank on the other side. So coming onto your left outer edges of your feet, perhaps adding that arm, right? So maybe reaching your right arm up towards the ceiling. So perhaps you're in side plank, or in plank, or maybe your knees are on the ground. Either way, the invitation is to notice your connection to the ground, to notice your breath and the muscles around your eyes. And whenever you're ready, releasing your knees, chest, and chin. Maybe doing a couple of rolling cobras, so rolling your spine up, and then releasing down, and curling your toes, and let's meet back in downward facing dog. Let me drink some water. Or tea, actually. It's tea. And then on your next breath in and out, lifting your left leg up any amount and stepping it in between your hands as you release your back knee. So maybe you're using some blocks. Maybe your hands are on the ground. Doesn't really matter. There's no better or worse way, right? The best way is the way that works for you in this moment. And from here, right, finding that free movement, that mindful flow. So maybe moving your hips back and forward as you straighten and bend your front knee. And if you're like me and you do not remember exactly what you did on the other side, just knowing that it's okay, right? Because it's not about like doing everything the same or reaching any goals, but maybe tuning into what does your left leg need in this moment. And perhaps it's something different than your right leg, right? And maybe you're just staying with this layer of moving forward and back, or maybe adding your left arm, reaching back. Perhaps there's an intention to hold or to reach that foot. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Just saying hello, hello foot. And perhaps finding that northern star, right? So moving in a way that feels good or okay. And as you're ready, the invitation is to tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, and perhaps finding a couple of rocks forward and back here. And then from here, anchoring your back heel, so making those warrior two legs, right leg straight, left leg bent, and finding our ostrich, right? So maybe bringing your blocks towards the right edge of the mat, or maybe your hands are on the ground. And the invitation is to allow your head to kind of hang down towards the ground, saying hello to gravity. Hello, gravity. Knowing you're welcome to pause or do something different at any time. And then whenever you're ready, making your way up. Right, up to warrior two. Woo. Here we are again. And you have an opportunity to choose what you want to do here, right? Maybe chilling in this warrior. Maybe you want to do something else, like lay down on the mat. That's great too. Or perhaps finding some movement with your upper body in this warrior. So maybe reaching your arms up and back and up and forward, right? So moving in between side angle and reverse warrior. Finding your own rhythm here, right? Finding your own mindful flow. And maybe feeling your body from the inside out, like noticing which muscles are contracting, which muscles are working right now to support you in this balance, in this movement. And maybe adding that second layer of straightening your front leg and making these triangles, right? So you might reverse your triangle. And tuning in, right? You're welcome to pause anywhere along the way. Maybe some part of you wants some more attention. Maybe pausing there. And in your own time, coming back to warrior two. And let's meet in the star. So the invitation is to turn your left foot in, reaching your arms out wide. And then bending your knees and elbows, coming into horse. And there will be a choice here, right, that you could make. You could stay as you are, right? Maybe there's some like rocking happening. And the invitation is to notice your breath. And you could stay with just noticing your breath if you want to notice your breath, or perhaps exploring what we call lion's breath. So it's kind of like the breath we were doing in the beginning, only we add like a lion face. So we stick the tongue out and we make a funny sound. You could even add some lion claws. So if you want to explore that, maybe inhaling, taking a longer inhale, and as you exhale, sticking your tongue out and making that ha sound. Perhaps exploring this a couple of times. And then maybe pausing for a moment or two. You could bring your hands flat across your heart. You might sense, notice, or imagine if you could feel your heart beating. Maybe feeling into that energy, that aliveness moving through your body. And in your own time, coming up, back up to star. And this time, let's meet in downward facing dog. So we're coming towards the end of our practice. All right, so coming into the last down dog. And then from here, the invitation is to make your way down to the mat, onto your belly. So however you want to do that, maybe coming down. And we've been here before. So coming into Sphinx, right? So placing your forearms on the ground, you rolling your shoulders back, and there will be options. So the first option could be to just stay like this, right? So maybe staying in Sphinx, in traditional Sphinx. If you want to add some more, right? If you're curious about it, you might start to bend your right knee, and bringing it up towards your hip. So making like this half frog shape. And there's a third layer, if you want to add it. It will involve movement. So if you want to play with that, you might reach your right arm towards the right edge of the mat as you kind of look up and behind your right shoulder, and then coming back to center. Maybe adding your breath here, so inhaling up, exhaling back. And you could stay with your natural breath, or maybe join me in this, making some sound, maybe releasing something. And perhaps letting this feel good or okay. And if it doesn't, knowing that you're welcome to stop, right? You don't have to force yourself to do something that you don't like. And whenever you're ready, maybe coming back to where we started, so in Sphinx. And if you'd like to explore this on the other side, you could, or you could stay, right? You could stay in Sphinx. Maybe you want to lay down and take a nap, right? We're almost done. So either way, choosing. If you want, bringing your left knee up, pausing here, or maybe adding that added extra layer of movement. So reaching your left arm towards the left edge of the mat. As you inhale, looking behind your left shoulder, exhaling back to center. And perhaps exploring this a couple of times if you're choosing to move. Maybe another moment or two. And whenever you're ready, coming back to Sphinx, and then rolling over. Let's be lazy and just roll over onto the back side of our body. So we're almost at the end of the practice. And so I'm going to offer one last shape. So the invitation is to bring your right knee towards your belly. And you're welcome to stay here, perhaps making some like hip circles. Or maybe you want to add a twist, right? A supine twist, so on the floor. If you want to try that, bringing your right knee towards the left side of the mat. And just staying for a couple of moments, a couple of breaths. You might notice, how is your breath in this shape? So often when we rotate the spine, the breath could get a little bit more shallow. So you could stay with that, or perhaps adding some air to your breath. And whenever you're ready, coming back to center. And if you're interested, bringing your left knee towards you. Staying here, or coming into a twist on your other side. Ugh. Maybe feeling your inhale and your exhale. And in your own time, coming back to center. And before you make your way into however you want to finish your practice, or practice rest, right, in Shavasana, the invitation is to take the opportunity, or this opportunity, to check in to see if there's any movement or shape or sound you want to make, right? So maybe giving yourself the space to do that now. Maybe you want to like do a forward fold or stand on your head. I don't know. So maybe there's something you want to do. Maybe there isn't. And when you feel like this is complete for you, the invitation is to guide yourself to however you'd like to finish your practice. So we're going to have like 7 or so minutes for Shavasana, or final rest, practice of rest. And knowing that you could practice rest in stillness, right? So you could practice traditionally lying down, or you could just keep on moving your body, right? Maybe you want to do an active rest. You could also maybe sit. I'm actually going to sit. Maybe you want to place your legs up against the wall, grab a blanket. So doing whatever you feel like will be nurturing, supportive for you for these couple of minutes. You could close your eyes or keep them open. And I'm actually going to talk for like another 2 or 3 minutes, but you could just ignore me if you'd like to just move into your rest. I won't get mad. So as you make your way to how you want to finish your practice, the invitation is to notice if there's anything you could do to make yourself like 1 or 2% more comfortable. And maybe letting yourself do that, right? And how does it feel when you allow yourself to have that comfort? You might begin to notice the parts of your body connecting to the surface below you, whichever parts those might be. You might sense or imagine the support of that surface as it holds your body up. So perhaps noticing, right? Perhaps noticing, if you want, maybe starting to scan your body, if that's available to you, and noticing if there's any parts of your body that are still kind of maybe holding or resisting from settling down to the ground, and just knowing that it's perfectly okay. You don't have to force yourself to relax, just knowing that there's wisdom in these parts of your body. You may even place a hand there and say, like, I see you. I feel you. I got you. If you want, starting to notice if you could feel the air or the temperature of the air on your skin. Maybe noticing sounds happening around you and your ears as they listen. You could tune into the natural flow of your breath if that's accessible to you. And as you do that, there's a possibility you might notice thoughts coming and going, right? Taking you for a ride to the future or the past. And you could say, thank you. Thank you, mind, for taking care of me. And then perhaps coming back to your body. Coming back to sensing and feeling. Waking up again and again to the present moment. I'm going to stop talking for a couple of minutes. You might take a couple of intentional breaths. And if you feel like you want to chill here a little longer in this space you've made for yourself, you're welcome to do that. There's no rush. And if you feel like you're ready to kind of come back, maybe starting to feel into the outer edges of your body. So, like locating yourself in space. And perhaps taking the opportunity now to check in one more time in this practice with yourself. Like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? No right or wrong answer. Maybe just getting curious. And the invitation is to look inward and see if there's an impulse that wants to happen to move your body. This could be like a micro movement, maybe like wiggling toes and fingers. Or maybe something bigger wants to happen, like a stretch, a yawn. Yawns are my favorite. Maybe you want to roll over to either side of your mat. All right, so like checking in to see like what wants to happen next. And trusting that like whatever you choose is the right way, right? If your eyes are closed, maybe starting to open them and just giving yourself a couple of moments to like orient to where you are. So letting your eyes kind of wander, taking in the colors, the textures, the shapes. Maybe there's some plants or animals around you. And in your own time, making your way to a seated posture or maybe standing. Yeah. And I thank you for your practice. The good in me sees the good in you. Oh, thank you for doing this for yourself, for the world today. All right. Yeah, and hopefully I will see you next month. I'm not sure what day. I haven't planned it yet, but we will definitely have our community practice again. And yeah, you are invited. So thank you. See you.